Hi everyone, Gnev here. I've completely fallen in love with Elden Ring, playing through the game twice already with a melee and caster build, and after wiping for hours on some bosses and getting to know them almost too well, I've decided to rank them all in a tier list. The rankings will be based on a mixture of difficulty, aesthetic, story, and the general epicness. So without further ado, let's begin with the first boss we all saw, the tree Sentinel. When you got almost one shot after attacking him for the first time, you had two choices. Either running away from him like a little girl and facing him later in the game when you're leveled up, or manning up, actually learning the boss and beating his ass like a true Giga Chad. The boss itself is fairly simple, giving you lots of opportunities to punish his attacks, but the coolness of the choice Miyazaki gives you earns him the A tier. Next we have Marget the Fel Woman. A couple of days after the game was released, two of my friends and I got extremely high and we tried beating the boss on soul level 1, passing the joystick to each other after dying. 5 hours later, after a lot of fun was had, we finally brought him down, and I'll never forget the happiness we experienced. The boss himself is a very cool fight, and he would have earned the S tier, but the problem is that he only has 2 attacks that we could reliably punish, leaving to him earning the A tier. Next we have Godric the Grafted. The dude actually uses a dragon's head as a weapon. It doesn't get much cooler than that. Even though I had to Google what grafted meant, this boss is extremely fun to face, both as a melee character and as a caster, earning him easily the S tier. Next we have Leonard Cohen, the famous singer. After going through the whole castle zone and after seeing the entrance to the boss arena, I was expecting an epic sea serpent boss and I was awarded with a fucking easy mob to fight. As another punch to the face, he also drops a sword that you can only use with 40 strength and you fight him in the early game. One of the worst bosses in the game, the Leonine Misbegotten, earns the D tier. We go on to Loreta, tree Sentinel on steroids. This fight is pretty boring, but she does have a cool great bow. B tier. One of my favorite bosses in the game, Sif, Wolf of Radagon, is a short glass cannon fight, both dealing and taking a shitload of damage. An extremely fast and cool fight. The Wolf earns the S tier. Rennala, Queen of the Simps, has probably the coolest boss arena in any Soulsborne game. The first phase is a gimmick fight, and it is interesting while trying to figure it out, but after wiping for 10 times on her, it does get pretty fucking boring. The second phase, however, is absolutely mesmerizing. The arena, the summons and the spells all make up for it, and she earns the A tier. Next we have the Undead Mariners to show how a boss fight shouldn't look. The concept and the art are pretty cool, but the fights themselves are lazy and boring, earning them the C tier. Now we come to Radhan, one of the best and most difficult bosses in gaming's history. I probably spent 3 hours when first fighting this boss on my melee character, and amazingly I loved every second of it. The atmosphere, design, the comet, the little horse and the summons all make up for a brilliant fight which absolutely earns the S tier and more. Next we have Dragonkin, Soldier of Nostella. I know there are more Dragonkins, but this one was the most memorable. That's because his arena is fucking beautiful. The design of the boss is also really cool when he pops his wings out. The fight itself, however, is pretty boring and slow, which is why he earns the B tier. The award for the best arena, however, and for the best soundtrack, without a doubt, goes to Ancestor Spirit. This fight is absolutely magical, and even though it's pretty easy, I don't believe we'll be forgetting it anytime soon. S tier. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Mimic tier is a pretty cool boss fight, albeit a little underwhelming, earning it the B tier. The Magma Worms are some of the most boring enemies in the game. Their charge attacks take 20 to 30 seconds, and the only thing keeping me from putting them in the D tier is how cool they look. C. Next we have Godree, first Elden Lord, and I've got to say that this fight was a huge disappointment. The arena is cramped and bland. The boss looks like he came out of Dark Souls 1, and the fight is just like fighting a mob, with no clear distinction between Phase 1 and Phase 2. A real shame with the lore importance of Godree, he earns the C tier. Now we come to Morgoth, the Omen King. I absolutely adore this fight. They built on the boss fight from the bridge and just dramatically improved it, making up for all the flaws he had there. The fight itself is very dynamic and extremely fun. S tier. Now we have Borealis, as a representative of all the dragons, as they are pretty much all the same. I understand why they would recycle bosses and that the game has much more than we expected, but why would they recycle the dragons? Their moveset is fucking awfully boring and easy. And even though they look really cool, the dragons earn the C tier. The Fire Giant finds himself in the best looking Soulsborne zone ever, in my opinion. The boss also looks amazing, and he even breaks his own leg in order to fight you, adding for style points. I didn't really enjoy his moveset too much, however, and he was a bit boring to fight against, earning him the A tier. The Fel twins you meet on the way to the first Great Room, and when I first saw the dark arena and the two enemies, I was shitting my pants until I actually hit one of them. The fight had potential, but was ultimately a filler, earning it the C tier. Now we come to the best entrance into a boss arena. The full-grown Falling Star Beast caused me a few hours of wiping when I first encountered it, as I was extremely underleveled for the zone. The fight itself was pretty fun though, and even with all the vibes I still enjoyed it. A tier. Now this next fat fucker caused me more rage than almost any other boss in the game. The rolling attack goes on for way too long, and the flurry of the hits he throws out can sometimes one-shot you in a bullshit manner. The Goldskin Noble earns the B tier. Now we come to one of my favorite boss fights in the game. The God-devouring serpent / Rickard is an amazingly looking gimmick fight. The cool thing about this fight is that everyone plays at the same level, no matter how overpowered your build is, making for a perfectly balanced masterpiece of a fight. Rickard, Lord of Blasphemy, earns the S tier. Commander Oneill is a fairly cool fight, but I unfortunately faced him both times when I was way over-leveled for him. Even at a low level, however, you can still beat him easily just by running around him on your horse and attacking from it while he does nothing. C tier. These two motherfuckers cost me 2 years of my life when I was fighting them as melee, and it felt so amazingly good to beat the living shit out of them as a mage. A bullshit, boring fight where you have to wait minutes for attack opportunities while dodging poison and gargoyle attacks. The Valiant Gargoyles earn the D tier. As a break, we have Fia's champions. The fight again felt like a mob fight, making for a shit experience in my opinion, but at least it was short and easy. C tier. Now Sir Gideon the All-Knowing is a fight I absolutely adored. His damage is insane, making for some quick one-shots, but he also takes a lot of damage and is easily staggered, making for a short, octane-filled fight. A tier. I can't express in words how much I despise the Godskin duel. This fight is the worst fight ever in any Soulsborne game. For some reason, these motherfuckers decided to put two earlier bosses in the same room and give them a truckload of health. When I first saw them I thought, well, that's not too bad. All I have to do is kill one and then another. Easy. But then fucking dumb respawned dumber, killing me right after that. Then I thought, I have to kill them at about the same time, so they can't respawn. Cool mechanic. But then the motherfuckers appeared out of thin air, forcing me to chip at their gigantic health pool for 10 minutes, where a single mistake will cause you to die and go again. A disaster of a fight. Fuck you, Miyazaki. D. I'm sorry guys, I had to get that out of my chest. Next, we have a brilliant boss to recover, in Beast, Clergyman and Malik. Even though this fight is extremely difficult, it's still one of my favorites in the game. Malik's design and moveset are goddamn perfect, and even though dying to him felt like bullshit many times, he easily earns the S tier as one of the most challenging boss fights in the game. FromSoft really decided to put the best bosses at the end of the game, with Godfrey and Hora Lu fight. The arena is known to us, but the fight's pace and the boss's movement and design are all beautifully made and will be long remembered. S tier. We finally get to the last boss in the game, with Radagon being amazing to fight against. The short windows to dodge his attacks, the constant change of pace, and the design are all brilliant, but are unfortunately spoiled by the Elden Beast fight, which is lackluster and boring. The whole Elden Beast fight basically consists of jumping the circle and avoiding the orb at 50% HP. The design of the boss is pretty cool, but I still expected more from the last boss in the game. Radagon carries the fight to A tier. That's it for the list. I know I missed some bosses, but the game just came out, so I'll hopefully get to them later. Anyway, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more Elden Ring content in the future. I usually make WoW videos, but I'll be focusing on Elden Ring as long as I enjoy it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.